What is going on, my friends, and welcome back to another video on the channel. Well, as Solana has continued to break the milestones and the goals that we set for it, we have to continue to adapt and adjust to this price as it has been doing absolutely amazing. So in today's video, I'm going to be telling you guys exactly what I'm doing with Solana. I'm going to be recapping the previous buy that we did about 2 videos ago, and then we'll talk about what I am expecting for in the future and going forward from the price as this thing does start to heat up. So with that being said, of course, let's go ahead and let's get straight into it. So looking at Solana, the biggest thing that I would say at this given point is that it is doing quite well. And no matter what, even though we're going to talk about it being a little bit overextended, and even though we're going to talk about the possibility of a pullback relatively soon, I do want to, kind of highlight the fact that there's been great news. We saw that OpenSea is going to be bringing Solana, which is huge. We have been seeing these fundamental additions to the ecosystem that Solana itself is, and all of that will help encourage the price going towards the upside, and we should be very, very happy with the progress that Solana has been making. Now, not only that though, our previous buy that we made on Solana that I told you guys would happen right around $110 is currently up about 16%, which is also very exciting to see that here on the channel, we are taking advantage of this growth. As you guys know, we talked about it here in the Patreon. I told you guys, 5% positional increase at $110 because we set the new higher high. We got the breakout that we were looking for. And although I was and still am expecting to see a short-term pullback, I think we are in a great position for the market to be in our favor here, okay? And so for all of those reasons, we need to start to consider what could happen next, because we don't have a crystal ball. We don't, we can't predict the future, but we can start to prepare for any outcome. So what I'm looking for from Solana, now that we did get this beautiful break here, right? We saw the breakout, we saw the back test, we saw the bounce. As we bounced, we purchased around $110 there on the Patreon, and we are up again. As I said, I believe those are right around 16% or something of that nature. Let's go ahead, about 110 there. We're up about, right under 16%, okay? So now that we have seen this progress, we need to start to consider what's next. And in order to consider what's next and how I'm going to go about making my next purchase, I have to think about what could Solana do here. Well, realistically, I think in the position we're in, that there's only really 2 options. I personally just don't see Solana doing this, right? I don't see Solana just continuing back down, breaking through these previous lows and continuing into its downtrend. I do believe we are in a position for it to either pull back and hold and continue and, set the higher low and continue, or to consolidate at some given point, enter into a longer consolidationary period before continuing, or just straight rocket ship up, okay? Now, you guys know about the 3-step accumulation that we've talked about in about 2 videos ago. It was either the last video or 2 videos ago, in which I said, now that Solana is breaking these highs, I enter into a 3-step accumulation. First accumulation is when we bounce off of the support establishment. So once we break a high, we back test it, establish support, and bounce, I will make a purchase. Then if the price starts to come back down, I will wait for the next level of macro support establishment. Once that bounce does happen, I will go ahead and purchase. And then once we clear the previous high that was set right here, say in this example, this is where it would be, I would go ahead and purchase. There's a 1, a 2, a 3-step accumulation area strategy for me, okay? That's how I interact with these possible pullbacks or these consolidations. So let's talk today about what happens if the price just continues to go up. At what point will I start to buy? Okay, because you guys know what I'm going to do, again, if we see a pullback or consolidation. Because there are times, right, we've seen it back here where Solana will just go. And even though it is overextended, it will just take off. Even whenever we saw this breakout right here, right, we entered into what was clearly an ascending wedge, which usually break to the downside. Solana just didn't care, just straight rocket ship right up through this thing. We got a little bit of a pullback, but we were already up, 160% before we saw that pullback. 170, 180% from the breakout before we saw that pullback, and we don't want to miss 100+% gains, right? So considering the fact that Solana could possibly just continue this move towards the top side, what I'm going to be looking for is $135 to get cleared. Well, I know it's really random. Some people may say, well, Tyler, why is $135 so important? Well, let's kind of get into it. Well, first and foremost, $135 serves as a very key level of confluence in terms of support establishment and resistance establishment. As you guys can see here, we came back and we back tested 135 right here. We back tested it right here. And this was the last level of support that we established before eventually breaking all the way down towards the lowest low in which we set ever since realistically August of 2021. And so that is very clearly a level of importance. What we don't want to see is this previous level of support run into and flipped into a strong level of resistance that pushes us back down towards this $85 to $90 area. So that is always important. Not only that though, if we go out to the weekly based perspectives, one thing we can look at is the 20-day simple moving average. If we look at the 20-day simple moving average, which runs in between our Bollinger Bands, of course, you guys can see that it is sitting right around $135.38. Now, the reason that this is so important is because generally speaking, when you look at your Bollinger Bands, two things are going to happen. You're either going to extend to the bottom side or extend to the top side. And after small amounts of times of being overextended towards the bottom or the top, you will resort back to that moving average. Let's just clear this off for a second. And so as we can see, we got extended to the bottom side. We started to consolidate back within our Bollinger Band here. We broke up to the upside, and we are now resorting back to the moving average. And now, as we approach this moving average, Solana is going to have to make a decision. Are we going to get rejected and push back towards the downside now that we've revisited it? Or are we going to break it and start to test our ability to recapture the top side? Because as you can see, there are times in which we will get rejected, right? We saw this. Boom, we broke to the downside. Found some support here on this previous level of resistance over here. We went back up. We retested it. We failed it for 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times. We put in a month of rejection at this level before eventually continuing back towards the downside. And so considering the fact that we have seen this level serve not only as resistance here, but support here, we came back to it. We retested it. We continued back towards the top side for a short amount of time. For that reason, since we can see that this is a strong level of confluence and that we are sitting right below it, I am personally going to be waiting until we clear this 20-day simple moving average, which sits exactly at that previous level of support at $135 that we just previously discussed. What we can do, let's just go ahead and get this drawn on right around there. Okay. So as you can see, $135 serves as a level of significance. It serves as a level that people are going to make a decision whether they're going to take profits and we're going to bounce down, or whether we're going to clear it, and then we can enter into another form of, possibly what could be considered another strong run towards the upside. So in the event in which we clear this, I will be doing another small accumulation on Solana. I think that at any given point, we can enter into a stronger pullback or a consolidationary period. So all of these little accumulations I'm doing aren't huge. As you guys saw, my $110 purchase was just a 5% positional increase. As we do make this run towards the top side, I am going to dollar cost average in as we break these barriers, but we have to understand that this could happen. Let's talk about this. This could happen at any given point. We could go into a month, we could go into 2 months of this type of consolidation now that we have seen the breakout, and we want to make sure that the stronger buys are happening, in my opinion, once we can confirm that the market and that Solana can maintain the overextensions that have happened, because this could very possibly have been this. It could have needed to come all the way back down to reset before continuing. We want to see the reset of these indicators on the shorter time frames, which looks like the RSI coming back towards the 50 before eventually continuing. And until that happens, we do need to tread with caution. But although, again, we need to tread with caution, we can't ignore the fact that that could happen way up towards $250, and we need to take advantage of the growth up until that point. So my current mission, my current goal right now is $135. That's all I'm really focused on. Remember, we do have the 3-step accumulation that I talked about two videos ago, which talks about what I would do if we do enter into something of this nature or this nature, and exactly how I'm about to go about it. I am willing and ready to buy into Solana on multiple different occasions because I think the market's in our favor, but I will make sure that I continue to do it strategically and in a method in which is justifiable that doesn't provide me with any stress. So with that said, that is going to be about it for today's video. That is my game plan, and that is how I'm looking at Solana. We are extended to the top side, and at any given point we could pull back, but we need to be prepared for the fact that that may not happen for a little bit longer, and we need to know at what points could be some great buying opportunities. Now, I do understand I'm not a financial advisor, nor am I going to be the one who's going to tell you when to pull the trigger and when not to pull the trigger, but I'm simply going to tell you guys when I'm buying, so it hopefully gives you some direction and some type of strategy in which you could implement into your own financial decisions. So with that said, that's going to be about it for today. I hope you guys did enjoy, and I will see you all next time. Peace.